Jason from Laundry and today we're here with
Jeff Clark.
Jeff. Today we're going to talk about customer service. What do you expect customer service-wise when you walk into a laundromat?
Well, first of all, I want to see clean machines.
Okay.
Because I've been in ones where the machines look so dirty, I left and didn't want to put my clothes in. You know, they weren't clean. They didn't do anything.
That is not a good sign when you walk in.
Not a good sign when you walk in there like
All right, so clean.
Yeah.
Number one.
Clean. Reasonable prices. I've been in some laundromats that charge twice what some do.
Have you ever been in one that charges too little?
Yeah, but the services machines didn't work, and half the time you had to call them up and wait for the guy to come down.
You surprised me. I thought for sure you were going to say like, no, there's no such thing.
No. I've run into bad everything somewhere else.
All right, so you want reasonable prices, and what's another thing about customer service?
Well, more modern machinery. Some places still have stuff from the 60s.
Right, and you have to pedal some of those.
Yeah, just about.
Right.
And they don't.
All right, so good modern machines.
Yep.
Anything else?
Well, I like a nice atmosphere to be in too. Sometimes soft music, you know, playing in something.
Right.
I don't like, I went to one laundromat and some kid was running it. He had the stereo blaring. I finally went up and told him, look, you want me to finish my laundry in here? You better turn that down because I've got inner ear problems that, you know, cause problems. That's
an interesting point because many times people that go into laundromats think they can either have speakerphone conversations. And they play music. And they don't think maybe other people in the laundromat aren't interested in what they're listening to. So that's a good point. All right, anything else? What about if you use a machine and it doesn't work?
Well, I hate it when it keeps my money, you know. But I usually go back and like this place, I came here for many, many years because I lived on Gothic Street.
Do you know how many years this place has been here?
As long as I can remember.
It's year 67.
Okay, because I'll be 70 this year.
All right, so you started when you were 3.
So I started, yeah.
Do you remember the first thing you asked me when you walked in the door?
No.
Do you have quarters?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so,
well,
I mean, that's the reason you're here.
I've already been to 4 places, and, you know, I'll never take the trip around town doing that anymore.
And you're biking everywhere.
Yeah, I'm biking everywhere. So,
all right, so you went to 4 laundromats, and you asked the same question.
Yeah.
What was it?
Nobody had an answer.
They don't. Well, what was the question?
No quarters here.
You asked them if they had quarters.
They said you got to go to Stop and Shop. So I went to Stop and Shop. Oh no, we don't give out rolls of quarters.
For the viewers, the Stop and Shop is a supermarket that's near one of the laundromats that you went to. We have 2 change machines. We take 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s, and you can also use an app to pay with any debit card, credit card, all of that. So how did we do as a laundromat? Because I know you were desperate because nobody had quarters.
You're more modernized than anyone that I've been to today.
Excellent. I'm happy to hear that.
You know, that's a plus. You can't run a laundromat without quarters until they make the machines where you just flash your card on it. And
we're close to that stage here.
I've been in one of those. One day I went into one that didn't have quarters and I didn't have my card with me.
Right. What do you do in Northampton?
I grew up here.
Okay.
Grew up off of South Street.
All right.
Up there. And I've done everything. I've worked on all kinds of buildings in Northampton.
What are you doing present? What do you do currently?
Nothing.
Well, I thought you told me that you grow corn.
Oh yeah, well I grow food. I don't consider that work.
It's June right now, so this must be the busy season for farming.
Yep. I've just got most everything put in. I got a few more things to put in, but
what's your main crop?
My main crop is Silver Queen corn.
Silver Queen corn.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good tasting.
I bring it all to Manna.
All right, bring a few pieces here.
Yeah, I'll stop by.
Okay. How many ears of corn do you expect to get?
100, 200.
200. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And then I've got all kinds of other stuff.
And you said you bring them to Manna, which is a not-for-profit organization that helps people that need food.
I've been eating there for years, so this is my payback.
Oh, great.
Corn. And,
that's very nice.
You know, I don't know anybody else that does it. You know?
All right, well, that's a great service you're providing.
Yep.
And I'm glad that this laundromat met your expectations in customer service.
Always has.
Good to hear.
I used to know a lot of firemen years ago.
Oh,
people
really?
That I grew up with. So I'd come in here and I'd get my machine going and I'd go wander into the fire station, go see who was hanging around.
Oh, yeah, the fire station moved, so you can't do that now.
Yeah, it used to be right next door. You
know? Now you can wander into the police station. They may not be as excited.
Wander in there. They probably won't be as nice to me as the firemen.
Right. We're here with
Judy.
Judy, and Judy frequents the laundromat. We're talking about customer service.
Okay.
When you come into a laundromat, what do you expect for customer service?
That the floor's clean.
All right, clean. Yep.
That I open, I don't get any bad odors.
Okay.
Because I used to.
Yeah. Wait, you used to here?
Yes.
That was probably before I owned the laundry.
Yes,
oh, okay,
yes.
All right, good.
And also, it would happen sometimes when I was in New York, all those millions of years.
Yeah, I've heard New York machines can get a little grimy if they're not taken care of.
And I like that I haven't had any trouble with the coin. The coin.
Oh, when you put the coins in, you want them to actually register that the coin has gone in.
Fine.
Okay.
And that has also not been true at other times. And you always have big notes.
Yeah.
When something is not awry and I shouldn't use that that machine. So I get good communication.
All right, so you want to make sure it's clean. You want to make sure the machines don't smell. When you put your money in it, the machine works. And you want to make sure that things are communicated so that if you have an issue, you know what to do.
It's immediately solved. I have your phone number and I can do that.
Right, my phone number is posted in multiple locations.
And since I live upstairs.
And Judy lives right above the laundry.
Right above.
Even if I wanted to avoid you, I can't.
Yeah, I wanted a convenient place to do my laundry.
You have achieved that goal in spades.
Yeah, but I like the idea of not having to do anything but put in my money and get my stuff out.
I like the idea of you come in, you put your money in, and I take the money out.
Oh, yeah.
As a neighbor to the laundromat, how is the laundromat in terms of the noise? How do we do?
Terrifically.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, sometimes it vibrates in my house, and I get scared it's going to
when all the machines
through, you know.
You could end up, Judy could end up on top of the machines. You've been around the block, and
literally,
right. And you've used a lot of different laundromats in your lifetime.
Yes, my 80 years.
80. Actually, you did just celebrate a birthday.
Yeah, 84.
84. You're still going up like a lot of stairs in your second floor apartment. In all of your years of using laundromats, can you think of a time when you just have a horrific story of something that was just nasty or terrible in the laundromat? And it better not be in this one.
No. It was actually pretty good on all the things we checked off.
Right.
But the real owner, his wife was there and wonderful. He was nasty to me.
He was just not a nice guy.
I said, this didn't come out right.
Right.
Well, put in your money again, and there was not one bit of graciousness and a little bit of sullenness.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because I've heard a lot of people tell me that the old school of thought with laundromat owners is they're a little prickly and nasty to the customers. Like when a machine doesn't function properly, they get really angry at the customer, which is kind of what you're describing.
Yeah.
And I always felt that is not the right philosophy because, honestly, over 90% of the time, it is user error. But if you get angry, you're not going to convince the user they did anything wrong. So you might as well do the right and nice thing and just start the machine for them, maybe teach them a little bit about how to do it better in the future. But otherwise,
you write little notes on everything, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I try to educate the consumer.
Because I can read, and that helps me.
Right. Well, didn't you used to own a bookstore at one point?
I owned a bookstore, and I read 100 books a year.
Right. I'm glad you can read. Do you have any advice for people that are owning or wanting to own laundromats from a customer service perspective? What would your one piece of advice be?
Be more around.
So have more of a presence in the laundromat.
Yeah, just be there sometimes. Not, obviously it's not that kind of business.
Right.
But to be there sometimes, you can give feedback.
Right.
I like to do it in a nice way because I just do.
Yeah.
Even if I don't feel nice, I do it
You
nice.
like to know that the owner is around.
Yeah.
And that if you need any direct communication, that they're there for you to talk to.
You have it publicized.
Right. Well, also, I'm here right now.
Yeah.
To make sure this laundromat runs with the best customer service possible.
Well, it is now.
Oh, thank you.
You don't have to improve it.
Thank you. We're speaking with
Aaron.
Aaron, when you go into a laundromat, we're talking about customer service.
Yeah.
What do you expect when you go into a laundromat?
Well, I expect there to be good lighting.
Okay.
So that, it's clean and clear and easy to approach. I don't want to be going down a dark alley.
Right. I don't think too many people want to be going down a dark alley. All right. So you want well lit, clean, because you kind of combine those two.
Right.
What else?
Yeah. I want it to also feel as if it's a space that is somewhat lived in. If I
like the atmosphere is a little more upbeat.
Like there's something there to show that it's an active space.
Okay. So does this space scream active?
Yeah, absolutely. You got the sock museum.
Oh, we got the socks. We have some art over there. We have a little library in the front.
And you have supplies.
Yeah, we have, you mean like soap and things that people might need. Coins, right. All right.
Tables.
So there's some services that you think are important.
Yes.
Anything else?
It's nice if it's close to like a convenience store.
Okay.
Or something else.
So location is important to you.
Yeah.
Even though I can't, as an owner, there's nothing I can do about the location other than buy a location that makes sense.
Right. When you're doing laundry, it's often something you're incorporating into your day.
Right. So part of your decision is where's the laundromat located, because that's going to impact whether you go there or not.
When and where, when and how and how I'm going to schedule and pencil it in.
Okay. Anything else?
Clean, well lit. Seeing the owner, and being able to talk, or being able to contact someone.
All right. So you want to make sure that you can contact someone that's going to answer the phone or be present if you have an issue.
Right. Yeah.
And am I easily accessible?
Yes.
Any complaints right now while I'm here right in front of you?
No.
Excellent. We're here with
Wyatt.
And Wyatt had an issue. We're talking about customer service. What happened with your clothes?
So I have a blanket. It is a big old checkered blue and white blanket. And I think it's made of, it feels like polyester. You're an expert in this kind of thing.
It's like a little bit like velour.
Yeah,
they're tough because sometimes they balance and sometimes they don't.
And I had a feeling as I was putting it, because it's huge. It's like, I don't know how many feet by how many feet, but it is a big old blanket. But I've washed it in the machine before without issue. But the washing machine at my apartment complex is broken, so I came here.
By the way, 10% of the customers in here on any given day fall into that category.
Which one?
They have a washing machine in their building or the complex. It's not serviced, it breaks, or it's just terrible.
Yes.
And they come in here.
Yeah, in fact, the one at I hope my property manager doesn't watch this. Actually, no, you know what? I hope they do watch this.
We're worldwide, of course they're watching.
I hope they do watch this, because there's like a plastic lid on the top of the agitator on the washing machine. And the other day I was taking my clothes out of it and it popped off and it was just coated in mold and mildew.
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
It was not pleasant. But anyway, I love this laundromat. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about it. When I've been here, it's been fantastic. So I ran this huge polyester blanket through a cycle in washing machine. Into one of these.
Which, by the way, it's fine. It's not too big for this machine.
Oh, it's not?
No,
okay,
so
good.
that was fine.
Because I read the 75%.
Yeah, no, that was
okay, good.
That was no issue.
It's
just those velour blankets, they just don't balance sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they get so heavy when they're wet that it just throws the machine off.
The weight, like it's sensing the weight.
And if it just sits in the wrong spot, it won't spin.
That makes sense. And in fact, I probably didn't do any favors by wadding it. Like I might have even put it in there folded. I don't know. I might have messed up. I might have played a bigger role in this.
Either way, so what happened? So you open it, you discover it soaking wet.
It was sopping, like heavy sopping wet. It had just so happened, and I was thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I bet, well, I'll get to that in a minute. I knew that Jason was here because I had seen him sweeping, and I assumed that nobody would be sweeping here unless they worked here.
If you ever see someone sweeping here that doesn't work here, let me know because I want to hire that person.
I thought, I don't know, people really seem to like this place, so maybe I could see it, just helping Jason out. And so Jason happened to be there, and he was talking to another customer, and I interrupted and said, my blanket is sopping wet, and he knew right away. He was like, let's put it through the spin cycle again.
Yeah, so we spun it once just to get most of the water out.
Yep.
And then we brought it to the big machine, and we put it into the spin cycle there, and it came out really, really dry.
Which I was really surprised that when it went into the big washing machine that was going, what'd you say, 200 Gs?
About 350 Gs per second.
Holy cow. So I could see it. He brought me over to the machine, and I could see where the soap and water was still coming off of it. And I thought it was, I wouldn't have imagined. So But he asked me an interesting question, which was, what would you have done if I wasn't here?
You come in a laundromat, what do you expect for customer service? Like, what are the expectations? Because I think they're all over the map. So I want to know from customers, what do you expect?
That's a great question. Well, I will say that I would have higher expectations coming in a place like this because y'all's reviews on Google are so high.
I hope I can live up to those expectations.
Oh, absolutely. So far, I mean, absolutely.
All right, great.
Not only did you resolve my issue, without making me pay extra for it, but also I'm getting my.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, right. You're like, actually, I'll invoice you. I think that my expectation would be, if it's an unattended laundromat like this one,
right,
my expectations are actually pretty low. I would just assume that it's clean.
That is amazing to me.
Really?
How low standards are across the country.
Really?
For unattended laundromats. Like, there could be junk all over the floor, dust, dirt, and if you didn't have like a great choice somewhere else, you'd still come here.
Oh yeah.
That is amazing to me.
Yeah, it really is. That's the case.
It's kind of sad, actually.
It is.
That there's this expectation of low standards for unattended laundromats.
Yes, I would say that I would expect it to just be like most things to be functioning, for it to be like relatively clean. But I would think, if I have an issue here, I'm screwed. It wasn't until after, though, you helped me resolve my sopping wet blanket issue that I looked on the wall and saw you saying, if you have any problems, text us. And if it's a machine malfunctioning, like, I promise you we'll be there. But so that would feel like way above and beyond to me, like that. And it does. Like, even the fact that you were here to help me resolve that issue, I was like, oh, I'm just so glad he was here. But that exceeded my expectations.
All right, so there's two pieces to this. There's how I handled your particular customer service issue. And then there's, what are your expectations as a customer in a laundromat? What are like some of the priorities for you when looking for a laundromat? Because there are people watching who either own a laundromat or want to own a laundromat. And I think the key is you want to increase your Google ratings, because that will lead to more business coming through the door.
It made a huge difference for me. It was also, location was a factor because I live right around the corner. But if it had been, there were other laundromats that had 3.1 stars on Google, or like 2.4, and I'm not gonna. I assume if other people are having that bad experience. I can't even
fathom how anyone could be happy with their business with that kind of star rating.
Yeah.
I mean, that is truly as passive income as it gets, because they obviously don't care.
Right.
And it's making enough passive income where they're like, I'm okay doing that.
Right. And I'm okay with it just being.
That's not me.
Right. And I'm just okay with it being mediocre and people having bad experiences. And honestly, of all the times in my life that I've been to an unattended laundromat, I think this is the only time I've actually interacted with an owner.
I hear that a lot. Like, the owners just aren't that present because they treat it a little more as passive income.
Right.
And it is passive income for me, but I also live, and this was one of the attractions for this laundromat for me to buy it, I live 9-minute walk.
Oh, that's great.
Or like a 1-minute car ride.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So it was just like, it's easy for me to be here.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure this laundromat is running smoothly and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And, it's maximizing its return. Therefore, I make sure that I'm proactive with the management of the laundromat.
Well, I definitely will have higher expectations now because I feel that sort of like personal investment in it. And I mean, like I said, I was definitely swayed. I would have driven from farther away just because I just really trust Google reviews.
Right.
And I've never had a bad experience at a place that has this high a rating. But normally, I would say the expectations are so low that, like, as long as I don't have my money like overtly stolen,
all right,
or
so safe.
safety.
Which, by the way, I've asked multiple people their criteria.
Yeah.
You're the first person to say someone doesn't steal my money. Like, safety, for me, I would have thought that's like the number one thing.
Absolutely.
And you're the first person to have said safety.
Yes.
So I do have security cameras,
yes,
and I make sure that it is run.
That it's safe, that it's well lit. I like the fact that it's on, a place with a lot of foot traffic.
Right. And there is a lot of light
is
coming
really
in as well.
Yes, a lot of light. It's also, I've come in here when it's been really hot outside and when it's been really cold outside, and it's comfortable in here. That makes a huge difference.
It could get pretty hot in here, though.
Does it?
With the fans.
Yeah. But in that case, there's so many places around to, like, even on the website where you mentioned, like, right next door there's Packard's. There's also right down the street there's.
Wow, you read that. You went to the website too.
And
so you're a pretty savvy consumer.
I guess so. I like to like read up about places that I go and read reviews, and like go straight to the source and kind of see, because I was looking to see, make sure, I think they took credit cards, but I want to make sure. So I went to the website.
So you checked the website and you knew that we took credit card via PayRate.
Yes.
So that was important to you that you could use a credit card.
Yes, and I made sure I had the download of the app, which I already had, and I had logged into it before, so and my payment information was all saved.
The website is, as I would describe, a little Mickey Mouse-ish, but it did have all the information you were looking for.
I don't care about bells and whistles.
Okay, so that's all it needs to do.
No. It seemed up to date. It seemed like I also, that's one thing that I sometimes will not solely rely on Google reviews with, is just because
you
sometimes the information
on a
can
website.
be a little outdated. Yeah.
Right.
Who knows?
That's true.
I probably spent more time.
I'm actually going to teach you a little secret that Google doesn't tell anyone. So on holidays, I mean, today is Father's Day, but that's not like a national holiday. When you go to a business Google profile listing and it says hours may be affected by the holiday, do you know how you can confirm whether the owner has actually confirmed the hours?
I don't.
Nobody knows this.
Yeah, no.
And I only know this because I see both sides of it.
Yeah.
So when a business confirms, and this is a great tip for anyone watching, when a business confirms on their business profile, even though it says hours may be affected, if you go to the listing and you see that the hours are now in green, that means the owner confirmed that those are the correct hours.
That's fascinating.
And I don't know why Google doesn't like broadcast this, because nobody knows.
Right.
But I learned that because I saw my laundromat and then I saw competitors, and I noticed that theirs were still in red that said business hours may be affected. So it means
you went in and confirmed it.
I went in and confirmed it. In fact, confirming it takes like 30 seconds.
Right.
And I do the whole year at once.
Oh, that's great.
And
that's so convenient.
And I just don't understand why other businesses don't do this.
It's a very good question, because it's frustrating.
But if it's green, that means the business has confirmed those hours are in fact correct.
And that just cuts out the whole need to contact the business directly.
Right. I still get calls all the time on holidays, like, are you guys open? Are you guys open? And I tell everybody, like, if it's green, we're open.
If it's green, you're good.
Right.
Yeah, but this was a great stop in general. So I came in, started my first load of laundry, and then walked to Kestrel, this really cute little boutique.
I share a wall with them.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
there's
this wall right there.
next door. Right. Okay, yeah. And I bought a birthday gift for a friend of mine. And so, yeah, it's just such a convenient, it's a great location. So that's another huge draw. Is the fact that it's in such a good location with ample parking, it's safe.
All right, so you got safety, well lit, accepts credit cards, and location.
Yes, absolutely.
And those, that was the main criteria.
Yes.
And that satisfied everything.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here, and that's why I'll be coming back here when inevitably this happens again at my apartment complex, because it just seems to be something that might be a pattern.
Excellent.
But I'm so glad I have a place to come with that I know even if that arises, I'll have this wonderful, safe place to come to.
And you now have a great new YouTube channel to watch.
Yes.
Because I did post that we have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, before you even come up and talk to me, I became a subscriber.
Great marketing.
Yeah, brilliant.
This is Jason from Laundry List, the best place for brainwashing.
It's a great tagline.